Good morning, everyone. We are going to today complete our pending book reviews. So we are going to start with enrollment number 34, Ishan. Is Ishan there? No. Then it is enrollment number 5, Vrunda. Vrunda, are we ready with it? A yes and no can help the teacher. Are we ready with it, or we require some time?
Ma'am, now I am audible.
Yes, you are. You require some time?
Okay. No, ma'am. My screen is visible. Hello, ma'am.
Yes, I'm just checking. I can't see anything on the screen.
Okay. It is visible.
I don't think so. It is. If you can disconnect and then rejoin again and do something.
Okay. Okay.
Yes.
It is visible.
Yes, now the screen is visible, but I think you have not started the presentation yet.
Yes.
Yeah.
Just a second.
No problem. Whenever you are ready, I'm giving you a few minutes to set things up. No problem.
Okay. Hi, good morning to all of you. I am Linda and I am going to book review about book selected short stories of Rabindranath Tagore. Into this book, I am selected a one short story named Profit and Loss. The author name was William Davis. Publication date is 1991. Publisher Penguin Group. Edition, third edition, which is in 2005. Genre of book is fiction and short stories. Number of pages are 426. Special features are glossary with a meaning of words and ISBN number is given. I am giving some information about Rabindranath Tagore. He was born on 7th May 1861 in Kolkata and died in 7th August 1941. He was a Bengali polymath, poet, writer, composer, philosopher, and painter. He reshaped the Bengali literature and music as well as Indian art with a conceptual modernism. In late 19th and early 20th centuries, his artworks like Dancing Woman, Head Study, Woman's Face, Dancing Girl, Landscape, etc. He also writes a poem like Gitanjali, Abhilash, etc. The Nobel Prize in Literature 1913 was awarded to Rabindranath Tagore because of his profoundly sensitive phrase and beautiful words. He also made his poetic thought expressed in his own English words. He also says a one quote that I slept and dreamed that life was a joy. I awoke and saw that life was service. I acted and behold, service was joy. I'm going to give some about this story. A daughter named Nirupama is born into a family with a five sons and a father of his family Ramchandra Mitra, searched for a high and low friend and only finds one potential husband for his daughter. Yet he lies. He chooses son from the noble Rai Bahadur family and the family demands a 10,000 rupees dowry. Ramchandra accepts the dowry not thinking it twice. But come on the wedding day, Ramchandra has only raised 2,000 or 3,000 rupees of the total dowry. Ramchandra begs in front of Rai Bahadur not to disgrace him by refusing his daughters on her wedding day, but Rai Bahadur ruthlessly demands the dowry. Nonetheless, the groom comes and says that will indeed marry Nirupama and wedding goes on a gloomy and a joyless occasion. Nirupama is treated terribly in her new home, especially by her mother-in-law, who is constantly denigrating the quality of Nirupama's family and insulting her personally. Ramchandra assumes a massive amount of guilt for not paying his daughter's dowry and come up with all numbers of schemes for collecting the money to pay the Rai Bahadur. He almost sell his own family's home until his three sons, who lives with the and wives are children, stop him. Nirupama wants Ramchandra to take her home for a while, but Ramchandra fears that he has to pay the money on first and he suffers the indignities to collect the 3,000 rupees and brings it to the Rai Bahadur. But Rai Bahadur laughs at the amount of money offered, and on top of the refuses to let Nirupama live. Deep in shame, Ramchandra grows even weaker and starts to ignore his daughter's letter asking for him to visit. Other members of Ramchandra's family asking for a small thing, such as a grandson is asking for a pushcart to play with, granddaughter is asking for a dress for a puja, but Ramchandra is obsessed with getting the money to pay back the dowry. When he finally sells his without his son's knowledge and brings the money to Rai Bahadur, Nirupama refuses to let Ramchandra go and says that it will be bring her son to be equated with nothing more than that long-standing debt. Eventually, Nirupama falls deathly ill and the Rai Bahadur family doesn't call a doctor until she is on her deathbed. Very soon after she dies, her mother-in-law calls her widower husband and tells him to come home immediately to marry a new wife. She was found, and the new dowry will be 20,000 rupees. Characters in the story, main character and their role in story. There are two main characters in the story. There are Nirupama and her father Ramchandra Mitra. The Nirupama is a daughter who is aged for marriage and her father was worried about dowry. The minor characters in the story. There are five minor characters are Rai Bahadur, Nirupama's father-in-law who is asked for dowry, Nirupama's mother-in-law, groom, grandson and granddaughter of Ramchandra and three sons and their wives of Ramchandra. Favorite character? According to me, my favorite character is Ramchandra Mitra, a father of Nirupama. A father's daughter marries into a higher class family, but is plunged into the shame and poverty when he can't meet the dowry that the groom's family demands. He is the tragic character, not because he owns a debt, but because he so fully assumes the pathetic pose of a man who has been rendered hopeless on account of his debt. Most favorite part in the story. My, according to me, the most favorite part is when Nirupama tells to her father Ramchandra Mishra that if you give a single paisa more to my father-in-law, then I swear you will never see me again. Then her father speaks it. If I don't pay the money, the shame will be forever on my head and it will your shame too. And Nirupama tells that shame will be greater if you pay the money. Do you think I have no honor and I am just a money make the more money in it, higher my value? And speaks it. No father, don't shame me by paying this money. My husband doesn't want it anyway. And suddenly Ramchandra speaks then, but Gented won't let you come and see me. And Nirupoma's reply, that can't be helped. Please don't try to fetch me anymore. I love this part because she knows that by how much effort her father gave that rupees to her in-laws. That when Nirupoma stops her father for paying a single paisa to her in-laws. Could you relate to any of the character in the story? Yes, few years ago it has happened with each and every girls. Actually, I relate this story with society. If you could change something into it, then what would it be? I would actually change nothing into it because it depends on few years ago reality. Recommendation: everyone should definitely read this book. The language is so straightforward and comprehensive, and all the stories are remarkable. It gives you delightful insights of the reality of life. You can learn something life-changing lessons from this book. In this book, there are so many short stories like The Living and the Dead, The Elder Sister, The Postmaster, Housewife, Fit and Loss, The Letter and Lily, etc. And they all are really very amazing and memorable. We can learn something from these stories. I would like to give rating 4.5 out of 5. Thank you.
Thank you, Vrunda. That was really nice. Do we have any feedback for Vrunda? Thank you, Vrunda. That was very nice. Do we have any feedback for Vrunda? A lot of technical glitches today happening. No problem. It was very nice, Vrunda. I'll type the feedback so it's easier to listen to because I can see my own voice echoing as well. So then we have enrollment number 29, Aditya. Seems to be not big. Enrollment number 10,
Yes, ma'am.
Vishwaraji.
Yes, ma'am.
Whenever you are ready, you just display and you start.
My name is Vishwarat Chudasama. I going to book review for the third curve. Hollywood actor Amir Khan on 11th October 2030 released Mansur Khan book The Third Curve, The End of Grow as We Know It at the India in the New Delhi. It's published by Mansur Khan Production. Genre is economic. Number of pages are 2033 and price is 495 rupees. The author Mansur Khan has dealt with a very important topic that pursues exponential growth is impossible with Earth's finite resources. In the first few chapters of the book, he has explained about the industry revolution, our extreme dependency on oil, and our constant expectation of exponential growth. The concept versus reality approach he has the use to explain the contents and unravel the problem was through provoking and easy to understand. Our economic growth model makes two simple yet amazingly unreasonable assumption. The money is the currency that runs the world. In fact, it is energy. That we are limited energy and other resources on finite planet. This assumption appeared to hold true for the last 150 years, the first half of our reservoir, but now we are about to being the second half of the story of oil. This halfway point of oil is the unpredicted point in history and is called peak oil. Peak oil is not an ideology but an aspect of geology, the point of maximum oil extended from the earth. I love the basic idea of the book. The detailed description about book is very helpful. This is the first ever work I read on this concept of peak oil and partially exponential spark in me to read more on this subject. However, I believe that the book is quite long and unnecessary topic are also covered somewhere. Also in some place it goes out of concept as well. As the book is based upon economy, it is related to each other, every industrial. So the book and its context is surely relatable to everyone, and I felt it is true. If I could change something, I wish could manage the economy and the things mentioned by author. I would recommend this book to everyone interested in economics or not. It is beautiful presentation by Mansur Ali Khan. Initially, book takes some time to hold the interest. So person willing to understand economics a bit will lead it slowly. But also the person not good with economy can also relate it, thus will read the book. I will give but not full rating of the book. Yes, the book is descriptive, but it is negative point of book too. It is of the topic somewhere, and the reader may lose interest for some time. By the way, Mansur Ali Khan is the eldest son of IIT Mumbai, Cornell University, and MIT Boston. He started his career by filmmaker and made his debut with Hindi film Kayamat Se Kayamat in 1998. Thank you.
Thank you, Vishwaratji. That was really nice. Please be a little confident when you are speaking things, okay? That's the only thing that you need to improvise upon. Be a little confident when you speak. It should come through your voice.
Okay,
Fine.
ma'am.
The next person we have is enrollment number 25, Vidhi.
Yes, ma'am. Ma'am, is the screen visible?
Yes, it is.
Okay, ma'am. So, hello everyone. Today I'm going to present a book review on the book titled The Big Leap: Conquer Your Hidden Fear and Take Life to the Next Level. So, some general information about the book. So, the author of the book is Gay Hendricks. It was published on 21st April 2009. Publisher is HarperCollins, and it is the first edition. And it is a self-help book. It has 224 pages. So I would like to ask a question. Have you ever felt good at one moment and felt disheartened or sad in the next? And if you give a thought to this question, I think most of you might answer it to be a yes. So the reason for the answer to be a yes would be the upper limit problem. So what is the upper limit problem? It is the inner thermostat setting that determines how much love, success, and creativity we allow ourselves to enjoy. Upper limit thermostat setting holds us back from enjoying all the love, financial abundance, and creativity that's rightfully ours. So when you hit the upper limit problem, you start generating thoughts and behavior in ways to self-sabotage yourself. We all have a limited tolerance for feeling good. When you hit the upper limit, you start manufacturing thoughts that would make you feel bad. So, for example, to make the thing clear, you decide to maintain your hygiene. You go to gym daily, you exercise daily, you eat good food for several days, and then you hit your upper limit, and you start eating restaurant foods. You late night binge. You do late night binge watching, and which would ultimately make you feel dull and tired. So you have hit your upper limit problem. The hidden barriers. The author talks about the hidden barriers. There are 4 hidden barriers that lead to the upper limit problem, and uh, these are just the barriers. These are not the real problems. These are just thoughts and fears within ourselves. So the first one is feeling fundamentally flawed. You sabotage your success because you think you don't deserve it. You feel as if something is inherently wrong with you and you are not meant for the success and all the praises. So this is what the first fear talks about. The second one is disloyalty and abandonment. Feeling that you cannot expand to your full success because it could cause you to end up being all alone or disloyal to your roots. To make the things more clear, I would like to give an example. If your parents want you to build a career in some particular field, but you are not interested in that field and to you opt for some another field and you achieve a great success in that field also, but deep down there is a guilt that you did not do what your parents wanted you to do, and you feel as if you have been disloyal to your roots because you are trying to achieve something different or unique from your roots. The third talks about believing that more success makes you a bigger burden, feeling that you cannot achieve your highest potential because you would be an even bigger burden than you are now. The fourth one is the crime of outshining. Achieving success would outshine someone and make him or her feel bad. Suppose there are 2 siblings and one is extremely good at academics, who is a gifted child and who performs everything well in any of the fields, and while the other one who isn't as good as the first child. So the gifted child uh, feels as if he or she is outshining the other one. So he or she would not achieve to his to his or her full potential, as he might outshine or he might have a guilt that he would outshine the other one. The next thing is the 4 zones. Just a minute. There are 4 zones the author talks about. The zone of incompetence. You are really bad at doing tasks in this zone, and most people can do these tasks way better than you could do. And suppose you are going somewhere and you are going somewhere in the car and there is your car crashes or you have a breakdown in the car. So you would not repair the car by yourself. Obviously, you would call a mechanic because you don't have that talent or you do not have any knowledge about repairing the car. So you do not waste your time or energy in repairing the car. So that is your zone of incompetence. The next one is zone of competence. You can perform tasks acceptably good, but others can also do a better job or are also good at it. The zone of excellence. You perform activities extremely well, and this is your comfort zone. You can make a good living from this. You can fulfill your needs by being in this zone. Most of the entrepreneurs or achievers may be in this zone, their zone of excellence, but at some point you might feel that you are not satisfied with your life, there is something missing. So the author asks all the people to get out of their zone of excellence and move to the last zone, that is the zone of genius. This is the zone where the set of activities that you perform, you are uniquely suited to. You are best to perform these activities. And this is the zone where you draw upon your strengths and special gifts. If you work in this zone and if you achieve to come to this zone and work in this for your next life, your life will be extremely happy and you can achieve love, abundance, and creativity. So the author asks everybody to get out of their zone of excellence and leave zone of genius. So next is opinion and recommendation. There is no such thing as time out there. It all comes from inside you. You are not time's victim. This is an extract from the book. And this is the line which I thought most impacted on me, which had most impact on me. So throughout the book, I felt as if the book was very self-resonating. I found many times that the author was talking about me, and the book was easy to read, and everything was explained with examples. So I would recommend to all the people who want to take the big leap and live their lives in the zone of genius. If you are stuck on making a big decision or are fed up with your own perspective of life, then The Big Leap is a good read. It is easy to read. So I think, and it would help, it is an eye-opening book. So I think all of you must give it a read. Thank you. That was it.
Thank you, Vidhi. That was very nice. Examples that you gave were not there on the PPT, and you had the audience with you all the time. That was very well done.
Thank you so much.
So the next person we have is enrollment number 19, Vishwa. Is she there? I don't see her anywhere. Okay, no problem. Then we have got enrollment number 8, Zuzar.
Yes, ma'am. May I get a minute?
Yeah, sure.
Is it visible?
It is visible.
Yes, morning everyone. So I am going to do the book review of How to Win Friends and Influence People. And here are some stats if you wanna check it out. Um, this book is one of the most important self-help books. I believe that everyone should read it and try to implement it. The core concepts that are given in this book in our life. This book is okay for business, at home, and friends and family. Now, this book has sold more than 30 million copies of the world. Now, I was not able to get the exact figure as different sources told me different figures of the copies sold, but the point is this is a very famous book and has been translated in more than 36 languages. Now, this book was first originally written in 1936 before the independence, and it is very old book, but it has many versions rewritten by the by his wife and his daughter after the author passed away in 1955. Yeah, if I had to give the one sentence summary of this book, I would say that to win friends and influence people, it's important to look after their ego. Be genuinely interested in them. People never tell them that they are wrong. Now, Dale explains each and every one of these concepts in detail in his books, and he explains it by telling stories and making it interesting. So, our grab our attention. Now, the author starts the book by interesting us with some rules for getting the best out of the book. It seemed to me highly relevant and applicable to any number of non-fiction books. First, having a great desire to learn is most important thing in applying principles that drive communication and relationship between human beings. Second, he asks us to read the book every month and evaluate ourselves at how many principles from this book I have applied in our real life. And third, to practice the principle, the theory knowledge does not help if you do not practice this principle in real life. Ask ourselves what mistake we made and what progress we made, what lesson what have learned. Now, this book is mainly divided into four parts. So part one being three fundamental technique of handling people. Part two, six ways to make people like. Part three, 12 ways to win people to your way of thinking. Part four, be a leader. How to change people without leaving efficiency or arousing resentment. Dale explains each and every one of these parts in chapters and in very great details. So uh, it has more than 30 chapters. Now, as I was not able to get all 30 chapters, but I did manage to find some basic quotes or some favorite quotes around the book, which I would like to share with you. Now, the first Dale says that don't criticize, condemn, or complain. The author says that if you want to gather honey, don't kick over the beehive, which means that if you want to say someone to work for you, don't criticize them or complain them, even when you think that you are absolutely right. Because author believes that rather than condemning people, it is better to try and understand them, to discover the motive for their action. There is much nicer and more productive than criticizing. It makes us more tolerant, understanding, and good. Author also gives example of the great Lincoln, that great leaders like him often handle criticism with extreme caution and do everything to preserve the self-esteem of those they represent. Author also puts the great value in remembering person's name. He says that the person's name is the most sweetest and most important sound to them. Remembering the name sounds simple but very powerful and important. He says that if you remember someone's name, then you play its owner a subtle and appreciated compliment. Author also says that you can't win argument, no matter you are right or you are wrong. Effectively, nobody wins an argument. You just end up hurting each other's self-esteem and pride. But you may ask that what should I do if I run into disagreement? The idea is to welcome the dispute. The dispute is opportunity to enrich yourself, to discover a new point of view that had not occurred. But you do not engage into argument. Now, this is also called the building up the yes. The idea behind this is fairly simple that you start by asking questions that lead up to the answer yes, and then often ask your big question. He is more likely to answer yes to last question. It doesn't work everywhere, but hey, it works. It works. Now, author put this as says as the TV does it, the movie does it. Why don't you? He means that to dramatize your idea. Everybody likes drama, so if you dramatize your idea, it will be more appealing to your audience. The idea behind this is people like drama. They like dramatized news, they like dramatized TV shows. You could apply the same concept to your ideas. Now, there are also some critics which say that a book is little dated. As this is an old book, the example given in this book are vary from Civil War to Second World War for the most part. But they are extremely varied and they go from presidents to king to emperor all the way to factory directors and finance managers or workers. They allow us to get into concepts very easily and understand how to apply them on a daily basis. This bit might also seem redundant at times, but still great to do it. So, thank you.
Excellent presentation. Just a few points on the slide and rest you spoke already. That was very, very well done. I appreciate it a lot. And that's what I was
Thank you.
expecting from people when they made presentations that, you have little on the slide and more to speak. So you did it exceptionally well.
Thank you.
The next person we have is enrollment number 17, Dhruv. Dhruv is there? Yes, yes.
Am I audible?
Yes, in between the voice is going, Dhruv.
Is my screen visible?
Yes.
Yes, it is. You may start.
Good afternoon, everyone. Oh, sorry. Good morning, everyone. There's a famous saying by Oscar Wilde: I never read a book I must review. It prejudices you so. I'm Drew Canaria. Today, I'm going to give book review on the book Who Moved My Cheese by Spencer Johnson. Spencer Johnson was born on 24th of November 1938 and died on 3rd July 2017. He was an American physician and author, known for the Value Tales series of children's books. The books the book was published in 1998 by Putnam Adult. It's a motivational book of 94 pages. It hardly takes 3 to 4 hours to read the book. I have rated it 4 out of 5. Here is the cover page of the book. Who Moved My Cheese is a story which tells us the importance of adapting to unexpected changes. Highly recommended in corporate world. It is a short story book that can be read, enjoyed, and understood by everyone, young as well as adults. There are four characters. The four characters are Sniff and Scurry, two mice that represent the simple parts of our personality. Hem and Ho, two little people who are the size of mice and they represent the complex and human parts of our personality. Here, the Sniff, the name itself suggests that he is good at smelling. So Sniff smells the change early. Scurry is good in running. I mean, he has good reflexes. So he is quick to act. The fat guy you see is Ho, is him. He resists change as he feels it will bring something worse. He hates to change according to the situation, as many of us still do. The thin guy is Ho, who resists the change too, like him, but then learns to adapt as he discovers that change can lead to something better. Here, the maze represents our community, our organization, the relationship you are in. At the beginning of story, there is a lot of cheese at Station C. All four of them start going there daily, eat cheese and live. Cheese here signifies money, fame, reputation, happiness, success, achievements, or anything else in the real world. So, can anyone guess the ending of the story? No one?
Yes. Is how adapt the change as you said is how
Sorry?
is how adapt the change.
Yes, correct. Now let's continue so that others too can know the ending. The mice check the cheese every day to see if there has been any changes and keep their running shoes around their neck in case if they have to move again. Mice soon realize that the quantity of cheese is diminishing day by day, but the humans never paid attention to it. The humans settle down and slowly get arrogant. They show off their cheese and brag about it. A day comes when all the cheese is over. Mice knew what to do. They started looking for more cheese at newer places. While humans kept complaining, they screamed, "Who moved my cheese?" Ham insists on staying where they are, saying that life is unfair and they should be compensated for this loss of cheese. He is never able to abandon the place where his favorite cheese was and stays where he is, even if it means extinct. After waiting and complaining for some days, Ho realized that the cheese is not going to come and they need to look for another cheese. Ho asked him to join him, but he was adamant he didn't leave and Ho had to continue his search alone. Ho finds tiny bits of different types of cheese in the maze, which he brings back to Ham. Ham refuses to eat because he only wants his old cheese. After a load of hard work, Ho finally found the cheese, a new cheese which was much more than the previous one. It was located at Station N. Ho now regularly explores new parts of the maze and monitors the cheese supply. So the same thing doesn't happen again. I mean, precaution is better than cure. He decides it's best to let Ham find his own way to him. He realizes Ham has to change on his own. While searching for cheese, Ho learns a few lessons about life, which he had scribbled on the wall along with a drawing of cheese. Here I have mentioned a few of them. The story is a beautiful parable which teaches us a complicated lesson of life in simplest way. It reminds us that we should not stop moving. We must always keep pushing, trying new things, and be ready to change. We should adapt to change quickly and let go of the old ways of doing things or the things themselves. We can relate it with the current situation of COVID 19. Now, people have opted for work from home. New online teaching methods are imposed. So, we should enjoy the change and treat it as an adventure. Any questions? Thank you.
Thank you, Dhruv. I was expecting you to be quite energetic, and that energy I can feel here. Okay, in this virtual thing, we're trying to make it as energetic and as enthusiastic as possible, as if it is in the classroom. Okay, that's really appreciated.
Thank you, ma'am.
I'm really looking forward to meet you in person now. Right, so this is what I was talking about when you have to have the energy on the virtual screen time that we have right now. So in order, we have finished everybody, but now some of us were not there when we were doing it in the first session. So I'll again give a chance. Is enrollment number 24 present? Nirav. Okay. Then we have got enrollment number 9, Ravi. Ravi is there. Yes, Ravi, you may start whenever you are ready. Ravi, actually, your voice is not audible. I cannot listen to what has been spoken. You can look onto it.
Hello, am I audible to you?
Oh, yes, now a little audible.
Hello, good morning all. Today I'm gonna present book review of today I'm gonna book review of The Greatest Salesman in the World by Og Mandino. It is the cover page of the book and its author photo. So let's talk about the author. Augmendino was an American author. His books have sold over 50 million copies and have been translated into 25 different languages. He was the president of Success Unlimited magazine until 1976 and is an inductee of National Speaker Association Hall of Fame. The other achievement of the author is many more. So, what is the target of audience of it book of this book? So, first one, salesperson, business person, leaders, you, myself, and every individual. So we all know, for we are all salesmen, and the success we attain in life depends greatly on how we sell ourselves to others. So behave very grateful and very lovely to other person. So the purpose of the book, to transfer countless lives and find true fulfillment with the priceless wisdom of 10 ancient scrolls revealed within. Help people to achieve a life of abundance. So let's talk about the story of book, and then we got purpose in mind. So it is the basically story of two person, boy named Hafid and his master. Hafid master named Petros. One day Master Petros gave one piece of fabric to Hafid. Then Hafid went to journey and they donate fabric to newborn baby to protect from the cold wind. After that, Hafid felt awkward and he thought that master was very angry on me. Then suddenly a brightening star spark on the Hafid head, and then Hafid goes to his master and tell all its story to their master. Petro says that he's sign of the god, and this is sign of your success. Then Pathos give 10 ancient scroll for Hafid's success and say that read every scroll to read every scroll one day by day. So this is the 10 scroll of this book, and it is very useful in our daily lives. So first one is today I begin new life. It is very important part of the story or our lives. Whenever we start new work or join new environment, so we forget all past and what about our failures and up downs. We begin from a new journey. Second one is I will greet this day. I will greet this day with love in my heart and spread it all once. The third one is I will persist until I success. Never lose hope and keep going on your way. The fourth one is I am nature's greatest miracle. This point is very important for all of us. Whenever we start new work or our new idea, so first we have to keep in mind that this fourth point is suggested to self confidence. Fifth point, I will leave this day my last day, and all things around. The sixth point of the scroll is today I will be master of my emotion, which is seventh point that I will laugh at the world, not laugh at the world, or it is say that I will laugh on enemy. Eighth point is today I will multiply my value hundredfold. Ninth one is I will act now. It is not perfect that we spend all time to keep to plan. Sometimes we take action for that. So ninth point is for that. The tenth point, I will pray for guidance from God. Whenever we whenever we going to start new journey, the cues of the book. You were not created for life of idleness. You can eat from sunrise to sunset, or drink, or play, or make love. Work is not your enemy, but your friend. So always love to work. If all manner of labor were forbidden to If all manner of labor were forbidden to thee, you would fall to your knees or beg too early of that. The strength and weakness of the book. The strength is attractive title of the book and its inspiring story. Weakness of the book. Its unpopular author. And Mendino suggests very long reading structure, so it is sometimes boring. Objective achieved. It has been translated around the world and brought joy and hearts of many. It serves as a guidance to philosophy of salesmanship and success. So these are the reference this book review. So that's it.
Ravi, that was really nice. You brought a quite unusual book to us, and I really like the way you included some strengths and weaknesses in the book, right? That you mentioned there. It was nice, and the second thing that is very nice is the references or the resources that you included in your book. Well done. So now we have got enrollment number 31, Vatsal. Vatsal there. No, 31 is not there. We have got enrollment number 12, Vasu. Enrollment number 12 is also not there. Do we have enrollment number 19, Vishwa? Fine. So these are the people who are not there, and their review is also remaining. I'll just call out the enrollment numbers once, and you can tell your friends. That's enrollment number 12, 19, 24, 29, 31, and 34. These are the people whose book review is still pending. Right? Okay. One more thing that I wanted to remind you of was, okay, I'll send a message of the enrollment numbers. I have written the enrollment numbers. These are the 6 people whose book review is pending. Kindly give a reminder if you happen to talk to them, or if you are in contact with them. Now, a second thing which I wish to remind you is of the Coursera course certificate. So, enrollment number 8, 9, 10, and 12, you have not submitted. Okay, just do one thing. I have created a Excel sheet in our tab called the certificate submission. Okay, you go to that tab, Coursera certificates, you go in there, and at the end you will see an Excel sheet. Right? What I have tried to do is, there are people who have submitted, there are people who have not submitted, and there are people who have submitted 1 or 2 certificates. Kindly check it right away. I'm giving you 5 minutes of time to look into it. The reason I'm asking is because we need to complete it by the 25th of this month, by 2 days, within 2 days. Okay, at least the certificate should be there. And some of you, I think, have by mistakes also submitted a few certificates, but they are of some other subject. Okay, kindly look into it. I'm giving you some time to look into that file. Please go to Coursera certificates. At the end of the folder, you will see an Excel file which says certificate submission. Wherever it is written YES, yes, it means you have submitted everything. If it is written no, you have not submitted anything. And if it is a number 1, 2, 3, you have submitted 1 or 2 certificates and something is pending. Okay, please look into it right now, right away. It happened that you might have forgotten to upload it. So you look at the list. If you have forgotten it, I'm giving you some time, you upload it right away. I'm supposed to give a figure that how many of you have submitted the certificate, right? So I'm giving you time right away. Yes, if it is yes, everything is correct. Just have a look at it. I hope you have had a good look at things, and wherever it is yes, it means your submission is completed. Remember, it is of 20 marks. That is why I'm insisting. I don't want you to lose your marks because of not a single upload or something like that, right? Just the way Hemang informed, if you are facing some issues, please inform me. But otherwise, I feel that you have been lazy enough and you are not doing it. Right? Once you inform, I can come to know that there is a problem and it's happening. Right now, we have been lazing around a bit. That is what I understand. Because you had been asked to select a topic for public speaking. Only one person has made a selection, that is Brunda. All right. So in the next lab, you are supposed to give this public speech. All right. You're supposed to give a public speech. So what will we do right away? Please go to the folder which says public speaking. Within there, you will find a Excel sheet with 100 topics, 100. So there should not be any problem for you to select a topic and each one selecting a different topic. So right away, the first thing that you are doing is you are selecting your topics. We've been lazy around, so we need to go back and complete the work which is incomplete. In the next lab, you are supposed to give your public speech of a minimum 2 minutes, maximum as much as you can. The 2 hours is your limit, okay? So we are going to do the public speaking in the next lab session. So today what we are doing is right away, I want you to select your topic for the public speech, right? Go to the folder which says public speaking. There you will find an Excel sheet. There you will find an Excel sheet. There are 100 topics given to you. You may select any one of your choice, right? Because, thank you, Ravi. Ravi has also completed. Great. Those who have not, I want you to do it right away and tell me the status of it, whether you have selected or not. Why? Because remember, unit number 3 is more of a practical nature. Theory portions we have done. Our lab sessions will be utilizing for doing the practice, right? So next lab, we are going to do the public speech. I'm going to give you 5 minutes to work on things. 5 minutes for selecting the topic. I'm also on the same document. A minimum of 2 to 5 minutes. Ravi, I cannot see your name in the list anywhere. If you can please type it again. Somebody might have removed it. We don't know. 2 to 5 minutes on the topic. I can see 6 people have made their choices. We'll wait a few more minutes. And by the time people who have made a choice, you can see there is a sheet 2. Sheet 1 was where you took the topics. Sheet number 2, I've already mentioned the order in which the speech will be, or the speech is supposed to be given. You can check your order over there. I've also tried to mention the name of the topic there against your name. If there is a mistake, kindly look into it. I hope there is no mistake, but if there is a mistake, kindly cross verify that the topic that you have selected and the topic that I have written are correct. Okay, while we wait for, because there are 6 of you, 6 still are pending. So I want this to be completed right away. So 5 more minutes for that. Fine. Those who have selected, you may see your numbers, and those who have not, kindly complete the task by 4:30 today, so that I can have a look at it. We're trying to keep a track of things of what I have instructed, and we might have forgotten over time. So one more reminder again given to you. There's only one person who has submitted the cover letter and resume. Remember, resume also carries 10 marks as a part of the assignment. So if you have not submitted it, please submit it in the resume folder. By the end of this week, it is going to give you marks. And by the time you are selecting your topics, I've already marked the attendance. I'll just post the absent numbers over here. You can have a look at it. And if I've missed somebody, please tell me. These are the absent numbers. There are 6 people who are absent. Okay. Otherwise, we are calling it a day. Next week, those who are absent, please inform them that we are having public speaking. And they need to select a topic, so they may select and be prepared by then. Fine. Thank you, class. Have a nice day. Thank you.